Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into the material you've shared, all about that pretty surprising move back in June 2025. OpenAI announcing that big partnership with Google Cloud.
Yeah, surprising is definitely the word, especially when you think about OpenAI's history, right? I mean, they were so deeply tied to Microsoft and Azure for years.
Exactly, all those huge investments. It wasn't just casual use.
Not at all. It started way back 2016 with Azure. Then that first billion in 2019 really cemented things, followed by another 2 billion or so in 2021.
And then the massive one, $10 million in 2023.
Right, 10 billion. With Microsoft getting significant ownership stakes, revenue sharing. I mean, it looked like Azure was the place for OpenAI permanently.
It really did. So this Google deal, I mean, it felt almost impossible not that long ago. Like you said, it's the kind of thing that really reshapes the tech landscape, that whole innovate together idea, one of the pieces mentioned.
Absolutely. So the big question becomes, why? Why Google Cloud now, after all that history with Microsoft?
And it seems like everything we looked at points to one core issue, a major computing capacity crunch.
Yeah, that's the heart of it. OpenAI stuff just exploded, right? Usage went through the roof. Sam Altman was pretty open about it, saying the lack of raw compute power was actually slowing down new feature rollouts.
You need just unimaginable amounts of infrastructure for these big AI models. Training them, running them.
And it seems like relying on just one cloud provider, even one as huge as Microsoft Azure, just wasn't cutting it anymore. Or maybe it was creating bottlenecks as they scaled up so fast.
Right. The material highlights January 2025 as the first crack.
Yeah, that's when Microsoft officially stopped being the only data center provider. It was basically a signal flare, wasn't it? OpenAI saying, we need more compute than just Azure. The start of that multi-cloud strategy.
And that hunt for more power led them elsewhere. First, that CoreWeave deal, right, back in March 2025.
Yep, about $12 billion for cloud capacity there. Shows they were already diversifying.
Which then paved the way for the Google Cloud partnership, announced in June. Finalized in May, apparently, after months of talks. We don't know the exact terms, but boom, Google's suddenly a major player in OpenAI's infrastructure mix.
And it's really important to stress this doesn't mean the Microsoft relationship is over. Far from it.
No, absolutely. That exclusivity ended, but the core partnership seems strong. This was about diversification, driven by, well, sheer necessity.
Think about what it means for everyone. For Google, landing OpenAI. That's a huge validation for Google Cloud. They were already doing well, like $43 billion in revenue in 2024, but getting OpenAI, that really boosts their AI infrastructure cred.
Oh, definitely. And for OpenAI, it means they can actually handle the demand, hopefully. Plus, it gives them more leverage, right? Negotiating with multiple providers, less risk tied to one source, secures capacity for whatever they're planning next.
Exactly. And Microsoft, okay, they lose the exclusivity, and yet terms are probably changing, but they still hold that big equity stake. They still weave OpenAI tech into everything. They stand to gain massively if OpenAI keeps succeeding, even sharing the load.
It creates this really interesting kind of complex dynamic. You've got ChatGPT directly competing with Google Search, yet Google is now fundamental to OpenAI's backend.
And the Microsoft OpenAI link evolves, but it's clearly still vital. It just shows how fluid these big tech partnerships are becoming. Less about rigid competition, more about, practical needs.
Yeah, the old lines are definitely blurring fast.
Yeah.
And this multi-cloud approach, it looks like it's becoming the standard for serious AI players. Because maybe no single company can provide enough compute.
Which brings us right back to that computing constraints point from the sources. The hardware side, getting enough specialized chips, building out data centers, it's struggling to keep up with how fast AI is moving.
So wrapping it up for you, the listener, this Google Cloud deal, it's less about OpenAI ditching Microsoft and much more about just needing raw computing power and strategically needing to spread their bets so they can keep growing. Relying on one cloud for AI at this scale. That seems like yesterday's strategy.
Totally agree. It underlines that shift. And it leaves us with a pretty interesting thought to chew on, building on all this.
Go on.
Well, given these very real computing constraints we're seeing, is access to massive compute capacity now the single biggest bottleneck, the main thing setting the pace of AI progress, maybe even more critical than the next big breakthrough in the AI models themselves?
Is compute the ultimate kingmaker now? Definitely something to think about.